Why do I feel so bloated even though I'm eating very healthy? It feels like my stomach is betraying me. Welcome back, you guys. Today we're going to be talking about bloating, where bloating comes from, what some of the hidden causes can be, and also where to start in order to address this. This is honestly one of the most common things that people complain about or they go see their practitioner about and they have questions about because we hear bloat, bloat, bloat. What does it even mean? And it's not enough to just cut out food. A lot of times we're told, hey, cut out gluten and your bloating will go away. But it's much deeper than that. Even though gluten is one of the top inflammatory foods that can slow down digestion, cause inflammation, and therefore bloating, it's not the only thing. And it's also not enough just to cut it out. So we're going to dive deeper into this. This is going to be connected to hormones, cortisol, food sensitivities, and stuff like that. And so we're going to walk through what this even means and then some things that you can do about it. But before I do that, I want to invite you over to my website again, and I want to invite you in for the month of May. I have open spots for coaching in my one-on-one coaching and in my small group coaching. What this means is you're going to go to my website, www.undietU.com. And if you're someone that has been watching my social media stuff, you know what kind of coaching that I do. If you've been through my website, you have an idea of what I do, or you've been listening to my podcast and you're like, maybe I should book a consultation, maybe I should work with her, but I'm not quite sure yet. I want you to think about, what do you want out of this? What do you want your 2025 year to look like? And I want you to not live in that indecision anymore. So for the month of May, I've opened up 3 spots in my one-on-one coaching and 3 spots in my small semi-private coaching, which is both are 12 weeks. But with both of those, you need to book a consultation first. So when you go to my website on dietu.com, you're going to click the link where it says book your consultation. You're going to book a 45-minute consultation. You think of this as setting up your doctor's appointment, but you get 45 minutes with me, not 15 minutes. And I'm really going to dive into your health history. What is going on? How long has this been going on? Where is this stemming from? What's your blood work look like? Have you gotten blood work? If you haven't or have not gotten it recently, we're going to talk about that. Every single person that comes in and works with me in my 12-week program, you're going to get very in-depth blood work done so that we can really see what's going on, what you need done in order to get the answers that you need. So I have those spots open, and I want you to really think about, what do I want my year to look like? I'm not willing to live in misery anymore. And I want you to know that you don't have to. And I'm here to help you change that. And so go over there, grab that link, book your consultation, grab one of those spots so that we can get you feeling better. First of all, we want to get you answers, and then we want to get you feeling better ASAP. Okay, let's dive into today's topic. Bloating is so uncomfortable, and there is a difference between being uncomfortably bloated, chronically inflamed, where it's just uncomfortable, and just like a slight bloating each night. Now, bloating every single day isn't something that you should deal with. You should be able to eat your 3 meals in a day and go to bed at night and not feel bloated. Some people don't know what bloating even feels like. They're just bloated all the time and they're like, oh, I don't know, I'm not bloated, but you actually are. And so it's very important to understand and know like what that is. We also don't want to like over obsess about it, but we do want to be aware of it. So if you feel like you're bloated all the time, that's an issue. We're going to talk about why that may be. Some things that can contribute to that. Okay. Now, I want you to ask yourself this, like, what does it feel like, or do I know what it feels like to not be bloated? And one thing that you'll know, or a test that you can do, is when you put pants on, or you put a dress on, or you put a skirt on, whatever it may be, if it always feels uncomfortable around your belly area, that is a sign that you're inflamed. Like that's inflammation. So let's say, for example, like when I feel like I'm wearing my normal clothes that I always wear, but if I put them on one day and I'm like, ooh, that doesn't feel good today. That's when I know like my gut is inflamed. Something is going on and I need to address it. And I may address it with a coffee enema. I may address it with more sleep. I'll talk a little bit about coffee enemas and how great they are and how they've changed my life and they've changed so many of my clients' life. Now, let's talk about why is it that some people they eat healthy. You eat your protein, you eat your fruits and vegetables, you eat your complex carbs, you drink lots of water, but you still get bloated all the time. Now, here are some things that can contribute to that. If you have underlying things going on like high parasite levels, high candida levels, which is yeast, and SIBO or IBS, those are things that can contribute to your bloating. Endometriosis can contribute to your bloating as well, because that's like overgrowth of estrogen. And furthermore, if you have really high cortisol levels or you have really high estrogen levels, those will create that more belly fat as well, because it turns into fat and inflammation. And that's what can cause bloating as well. Now, if you listen to last week's episode that I did it on stomach acid, and we went into stomach acid and enzyme deficiencies. And I'm not going to dive into that today, but I'm going to invite you to go back and listen to that episode if you have not, because those two things can also contribute to your bloating because you're not digesting and absorbing your foods properly. So go back and listen to the episode if you have not, because you'll learn a lot about that and it leads into this. But these things that I'm talking about today are things like your body is not just what you eat, it's what it can digest and absorb. And so if you're someone that's like, I'm eating healthy all the time, I exercise, I sleep, I drink water, but I'm still bloated at the end of the day. Like it's uncomfortable. I feel like I have a belly pooch all the time, or I look like I'm like 3 months pregnant. That's an issue. And we want to find out what that is. And some of the things that I mentioned can be underlying root issues of why that's going on. So, for example, if you have high candida levels, that's yeast, and that yeast will cause inflammation in your gut. It can start tearing down your gut lining, which then cause digestion issues. I remember back long time ago, this was like in my early years of postpartum after having my kiddo. I was very lean, but I did a test and I had really high candida levels. Had no idea I had it until I did the test, but I had the symptoms. Like I was having like skin issues. I was having some kind of like rashes. Like I had so many sensitivities. I was really sensitive to eggs and dairy at the time. So every time I would eat eggs, I would get these like little pimples on my legs. And I had no idea that's what it was until I did the test. And so at the same time that I was doing my candida protocol to help my body and my gut heal, I also had to be very aware of all the foods that I was sensitive to. So food sensitivities can be one of the things. Now, I want to make it very clear here. If you have a lot of food sensitivities, a lot of times what practitioners or doctors will do is they'll just tell you to cut those foods out and think that that's the answer. And while cutting the foods out may be the answer to not creating more inflammation, it's not enough just to cut out the foods, because you need to bring things in to help your body heal. When I went through my candida protocol and my food sensitivity protocol to help my gut heal, I went through a 4 months phase. 4 months. And it was not easy. It wasn't. So you really do need to be in that place of like committing to it and saying like, this is going to help me. But guess what? At about 99 food sensitivities is what I had. And now I barely have any of them. But it's because I did the work to go through that in order to let my body, my gut heal. And now I'm also just very aware of things that I am sensitive to. So I was really sensitive to gluten, like to the point of I could have a cookie or a couple bites of bread one day and the next day wake up and feel like I had a hangover. That's how sensitive I was to it. But not anymore. Now I can go out sometimes and have a burger that has gluten on it, and I'm not going to wake up with a hangover. Now, I don't eat gluten all the time because, in general, it's not great. It's not gluten's fault. It's the way that they process it here. That's why you can go to Europe and eat gluten and be totally fine because they don't have all the glyphosate and all of that stuff on it. So that's something to be aware of. Now, if you are like, I'm eating salads, I'm eating my vegetables and all of that, but you're still bloating, raw vegetables are actually much more difficult to break down. So for myself, I don't eat a ton of raw vegetables. Cruciferous vegetables can also be an issue, like broccoli, cauliflower, garlic, raw onions. Think about those cruciferous vegetables. Like sometimes those are harder to break down. So if you eat those foods and you get more gassy, you know that your body is not breaking it down properly and you may be a little bit sensitive to it. So a lot of times what I tell my clients is, hey, cook your vegetables. And carrots is one vegetable that a lot of people can get away with. And one of the things that raw carrots will do is they will actually help detox you of excess estrogen. So it's really, really good for your liver and help you get rid of that excess estrogen. So I always encourage people to eat their carrots raw because once you cook them, that benefit isn't there. So raw carrots for the win. Like buy those big, long, raw, organic carrots at the store or go to someone's garden. Like if they have a garden, get them local and eat raw carrots. You can also put raw carrots in a smoothie, and that could be really, really beneficial. So know those things. So if you are someone that's like bloating all the time, try not having your vegetables raw. Fiber is important. You do need to have adequate amounts of fiber. Most people are not getting enough. The average American gets maybe 8 grams of fiber a day, and you should be getting at least 25 grams a day. But if you have consistently been low in fiber and all of a sudden you put fiber in too fast, too quick, it's actually too much for your body. So you want to go slow. You want to add things in slow when you're doing that to see how your gut reacts to it. But you do need fiber, but you just want to be careful that you don't do it too fast, too quickly. So let's talk a little bit about estrogen. So when you have low progesterone and high estrogen, that can slow down your digestion. First of all, estrogen lives in your fat cells. High estrogen levels will go into your lower belly area. It will go into your hips. It will go into the back of your arms. And one thing that can happen with this is your digestion slows down. If you have slow digestion, you have bloating because if you're eating every day, but you're not eliminating every day, that means you're backed up. And that's a problem. And remember, 99% of diseases start in the gut. Think about this. What happens when you eat food every day, but you're not eliminating every day? Where does it go? It's sitting in your body. And the longer it sits in your body, the more it's going to ferment. And if it's sitting in your colon and fermenting, where does it go from there? Well, it actually starts caking your colon and just like have layers of excess fecal matter in there, but also it starts to seep out into your bloodstream. This is where diseases start to happen. This is where colon cancer happens. This is where parasites like to hang out. This is where Candida likes to hang out. It's a feeder. These things are feeders to these other things. And so making sure that you're eliminating the things that you're eating, obviously you're going to use some of it for energy, but elimination every single day is very, very important. So one of the first things that I ask my clients is, how often are you going to the bathroom? How's your digestion? Are you constipated? Do you have diarrhea, or are you regular? And 9 times out of 10, they are constipated and irregular. And so our first job is to get them regular. And it's not that difficult to do. Not at all. You just have to know what you eat really, really matters. And vitamin and mineral deficiencies will lead to constipation. And so you want to make sure that you're moving things along every single day. Also, note this: the more processed food that you eat, the harder it is for your body to digest those things. So, for example, if you eat a Big Mac from McDonald's, the transit time for food, healthy food, should be around 24 hours, somewhere between 24 and 48 hours, but ideally around the 24-hour mark. By the time you eat it and eliminate it, around 24 hours. It can sometimes be between the 24 and 48, but around the 24-hour mark is good. Now, if you eat a Big Mac with fries and all that stuff from McDonald's, they've actually done studies on this. The transit time for that can be up to 72 hours. The digestion with these highly processed, highly fatty fillers and all that kind of stuff, it takes a lot longer for your body to digest those things, break it down, and then get rid of it. And that's why you feel sick. That's why you get sick. That's why you gain weight, because the stuff is in your system way too long. So when you switch to eating more whole foods, that is easier for your body to digest. It shortens the transit time. It's in your body less, and you naturally start to detox. Because remember, detoxing is pooping, peeing, sweating, and sleeping. Okay, those are 4 things that will help you detox just naturally. And sometimes we need to bring other things in. So, for example, if you have an overgrowth of Candida or parasites or heavy metals, those are things that I actually test my clients for. So, when we're testing, we're not just testing for generic and basic blood work, we are testing for these other things that can actually be underlying issues of why your body feels off. So those are things that you need to detox from. There's Candida cleanses, there's parasite cleanses, there's heavy metal cleanses. The one that I'm actually a huge fan of is all in one. And I use this for all of my clients. It's called the Parasite Kit by Rogers Hood. I know I've talked about this before, but I'll share it again. I have a 10% discount code, but that's my all-time favorite kit. The reason why is it gets parasites and the parasite eggs, because parasites do lay eggs inside you. Gross, but they do. Then it does heavy metals. Then it does Candida, and you do it all at the same time. Okay. And then it comes with a binder, and it comes with a tincture that also supports your organs and your gut at the same time that you are detoxing. So I typically like my clients to do at least 30 days of vitamins and minerals and getting their body and their system ready before we even go into the detox so that they can handle the detox better. And I'm not kidding. Like, I've had people go through that and they lost weight and their bloating went away. They started sleeping better and their energy went up. Why? Because they got rid of the underlying root thing that was going on. So those are those things. And then let's talk about cortisol. So cortisol, high cortisol will slow down the digestion and will make that food, when your digestion is slowed down, your food will be in your system longer, which means it's fermenting. That is one thing that cortisol does. And the other thing with cortisol, just like estrogen, is it can start going into your lower belly fat. It can start hanging out in your hips and in your face. Like, you can see like inflammation in the face when you have really high cortisol all the time. And you'll start feeling really inflamed. So I'll tell you this, like last year when I had really high cortisol levels, that is the one thing that I started to notice is I was starting to feel really uncomfortable with certain clothes that I was so used to wearing. But it was all of a sudden, it's not that they were too tight, but they were feeling tight. And what do I mean by this? They were feeling tight, as in I could tell that my body was inflamed. So even though they fit me, these pants fit me, but it was uncomfortable for me because I could feel the inflammation. And that's when I knew that something was really off, because I was like, this isn't normal. And so when I found out like what my cortisol levels were, I was like, whoa, this is something that I need to take care of. And so over the last, few months, that's what I've been working on. And now, like, I'm seeing a huge difference again. Inflammation is gone. I'm not feeling that tightness anymore. and I'm also sleeping better. So cortisol is certainly something that will cause inflammation, but also slow down your digestion. And if you remember, I talked about this a little bit last week. On last week's episode, we talked about how stress will cause enzymes and HCl to go down. And you need enzymes and HCl to digest and absorb those nutrients that are coming in. So, cortisol, high stress, lower HCl and enzymes, lower the ability to digest and absorb your food equals bloating and constipation. It is not a fun remedy. But what I want you to know is that there are very simple things that you can do in order to help this. The one thing that I would suggest is that we get some testing done to find out whether or not you have parasites and heavy metals and candida and all of that stuff going on if you're someone that's dealing with this type of bloating where you're just like, it doesn't matter what I eat and how I eat, I will always be bloated. It's time to get tested, and then testing your hormones and your thyroid, because the thyroid will slow down your digestion as well. So that can be part of it, but also know that parasites and all of that stuff, they can be part of the thyroid issue. So getting that kind of testing done is really, really important. Magnesium is one of the things that is so important. I would beg to differ that about 100% of people are magnesium deficient. And so I get every single person on a magnesium. It's just magnesium has over 300 metabolic functions, and it is just so important. My new favorite is from Ula, the balance from Ula, because it has a tri-blend of magnesium, and then it has adaptogens in it, which are hormone supportive. And the testimonials that I'm getting in from this is just insane. Like, I had this one girl go on it, and we thought that she was gonna most likely have to go on some HRT just because her hormones were not going where they needed to go. And she just didn't have any mood. She didn't have any energy. Her body just was not shifting. And that's one thing to know is you can be eating really well. You can be exercising. You can be sleeping. But if you are deficient, real deficient, I'm talking clinically deficient in certain things with your hormones and your vitamins and minerals, it is nearly impossible to get those levels where they need to be or get you the results that you're looking for if those levels don't go where they need to go. And so what she did is she went on balance, which has the adaptogens in that support your hormones. It has maca root in it, and that's a natural testosterone booster. And then it has the magnesium blend. And she literally told me the other week, she said she's been using it for 3 weeks. And she's like, I am me again. I finally feel like me again. I'm ready to get up, do my thing. I'm doing my workouts. I'm just feeling so much better. And I was like, wow, I did not expect that to work that quickly. But it is. And now I'm getting all of these other people that are like, this stuff is amazing. Like, it's working so fast. I had another girl that was only on it for maybe a week, and she got her period. And she's like, that first go around, even after just being on it for a week, her period was way smoother. Even her husband was like, you are way different this time on your period. And though it's just shocking me. Like, I know that supplements are good. Most people are deficient in vitamins and minerals, but I've not been used to supplements like this. They're such top quality. I've not been used to them working this quickly, and it's just making me so happy. So I'll make sure that I put my link in the show notes. It's called Balance by Ula. And you would like to give it at least 90 days to like build up to really get the full benefit of it. But most people that get on it are like, I don't want to get off because I just feel so good on it. So I would highly recommend that because of the magnesium. That's going to help with your sleep and your digestion, because the other thing that can cause bloating is if you are not sleeping. I don't think people realize the ripple effect that sleep has on your health. But understand this, sleep is your number one detoxer and your number one healer. So when you're sleeping, your body can do its job to heal. But If you're not sleeping, like, have you ever gone to bed and woke up the next morning and you're like, man, like my stomach just doesn't feel right. I'm bloated, like I can just tell. And it's literally because you slept like crap. And what happens is it throws everything off, and now your digestion is slowed down. So anything that comes in the next day is just much harder for your body to digest and absorb the things that are coming in, and therefore then it slows down your digestion. Now all of a sudden you have constipation. Like, you ever go traveling? I mean, most people experience this when they're traveling. Their digestion slows down. One, because you're traveling and you're just not in your normal relaxed setting at home. And two, your sleep gets disrupted. You're more stressed. And because of those things, it slows down your digestion. Now all of a sudden you're 3 days in and you're like, I haven't even gone to the bathroom. So you know what my trick is to that? You take your magnesium with you and you take it every single day when you're traveling, and I always bump it up. When I travel, I'm always bumping up my magnesium because I know how common it is and how easy it is for you to get backed up when you're traveling. And nobody likes that. The second piece to that is normally you're eating a little bit different, you're eating out more, and it's just harder for your body to digest those things. Now, the other thing that I want to add in here that you can do if you're dealing with a lot of bloating and constipation is, if you have not done this, I want you to look at enemas. You can do water enemas or you can do coffee enemas. And some people are like, ugh, I don't know about this. Like, that sounds really, really weird. Let me tell you something. It is a game changer for those of you that are brave enough to do them. It is a game changer. I have had so many people that have now done either water or coffee. I recommend coffee unless you are sensitive to coffee. Think of it as a colonics. It's a colonics, but you're able to do it at home. And what it does is it goes in there and it starts to clean out that colon. And it's especially is important for the people that don't poop every day. You know why you don't? Because there's a whole bunch of stuff in there that's not willing to go anywhere. Probably because you're magnesium deficient and deficient in other things as well. And maybe you don't have the ideal diet for that. I don't know. You know better what you're eating. But if you're not eliminating on a daily basis, that's an issue. So it just sits there brewing. And it sounds really gross, but it's so true. And what an enema does is it goes in there and it washes out the colon. It gets rid of stuff. And I cannot tell you this, how many of my clients were like, the first couple of times that they did the enemas, they're like, I cannot believe what was in me. And it's wild. But I had this one gal that started doing the coffee enemas. And the first time that she did it, she lost 7 pounds just by doing the coffee enema. And before that, she was not able to wear her wedding ring. Things were just like really swollen and tight. And she's like, I don't know what happened, but I lost so much inflammation doing this enema. And then she would keep doing them. Now, you shouldn't be chronically doing enemas, okay? You should be able to go through a stage of doing enemas to make sure that things are cleared out where it feels good. And then it's more of a maintenance thing. So for me, it's more, when I first started doing them, I was doing them a few times a week. It's fine to do them daily if you have time, but every other day is fine too. The quicker you can do it to really clean things out, because the other thing that coffee does is it helps you detox more. It can help detox your organs like liver, pancreas, and things like that. So that's one thing that coffee is good for. And so initially I would do them more often, but now it's more of a maintenance thing, like where I feel like if I feel like I'm really tired, but I shouldn't be really tired, I might go do an enema. And right after that, I'm like, whoa, I feel like myself again. Because you know what happens is when you're bloated and constipated, it actually creates brain fog because your gut is connected to your brain. So it's gut brain axis. And when this is going back to like when things are sitting there, and all of a sudden they start going out into your bloodstream, that goes to your brain, and that's where brain fog can come from. And so it starts to just really clear things out. So I usually like people to do these types of things, like do the enema before they even go do the parasite and the candida detox, because it preps their system to be able to detox more safely and more effectively. So those are some things that you can do. So here's the thing. You can do enemas, you can do castor oil packs. Make sure you cook your vegetables. So don't eat the raw vegetables. You don't need to eat a salad to lose weight. That's a myth. In fact, a lot of salads make things worse. And then make sure you're managing your stress. Take magnesium. Magnesium makes such a big difference. It will help you be able to handle stress better, but it will also help with your digestion, making sure you're drinking enough water. And also remember movement. Movement helps with your digestion as well. Sweating helps with it. And then managing your stress really well is really important. So doing deep breath work to make sure you're getting your nervous system to calm down. Sit down to eat. Remember, we talk about chewing. Make sure you're chewing your food so that it's easier for your digestive tract to digest your foods. Make sure you're doing that. So these are some tips and things that you can put in place to help your digestion. If you have not yet, you can also go over to my website, undietyou.com, and go under the resource hub and click on the freebie link. And in that freebie link, you're going to get a whole bunch of free downloads. And so you're going to find like the protein one, you're going to find the sleep course that's free. You're going to get a free thyroid, the adrenal. If you haven't done that, make sure you do that, because I have so much stuff in there that can be beneficial for you. And then I also have an age week gut course that you can also find in the wellness store on there. And so if you are someone that is really dealing with this bloating, you can go into that gut course and I give you a lot of home remedies and things that you can do at home to help your bloat as well. Hope you guys enjoyed. I'll see you guys next week. Thanks for tuning into the Lizzie Young Show. If you're ready to take the next step to transforming your health and life, visit www.undietyou.com for all my resources and to book your consultation today. Don't forget to subscribe and join me each week for more tips, inspiration, and conversations with phenomenal guests to help you feel your best. See you guys next week.